Hi, I'm Coach Steve.
Hi, I'm Bryson Nielsen from University of Arizona.
Welcome to the show, Bryson. Good to see you. How's everything going?
Everything's been going good with school and sports.
I really appreciate you coming on the show to interview you. I had a lot of questions for you, especially how you got into running and where you currently are right now. I saw one of your posts the other day. You got a 150 in your 800. Don't tell us now. Hold off on that. But how's college going for you?
College it was a bit rocky in the first semester. I think it was just getting used to a completely different environment and it being pretty much living on my own without family down here. I think that now I got to know a bit more of the team outside of just only distance. I
Yeah.
think it has been a little bit more welcoming, I'll say.
Was it a big transition from high school to college?
Sports wise, definitely. And college academics wise as well, it was pretty big because you're responsible for everything. You don't have people telling you this or that. You just have to do it. Otherwise, you're just gonna fall behind and no one's gonna remind
Exactly.
you.
I think you should say that again because some people don't realize that.
Guys, in college, your parents won't look at your stuff. You have to
And
do that on,
and your coaches won't check on you either.
yeah, and your coaches are stricter. They won't let
Yeah,
you slack off.
awesome. So tell me how you got into running.
I got into running just as like a side thing when I was younger in middle school because I mainly did soccer for years and I did cross country. I was like, oh, I could do this to prep for soccer and be in shape. But the more I did, the more I realized I actually enjoy this more than soccer. And so eventually in high school, I just dropped soccer completely and just went full time for track and cross country.
Well, it seems like all the great runners came from like a soccer background. So do you miss soccer?
I mean, it was fun to an extent. I just think the environment for me wasn't the best for my soccer experiences as I got older. I like the sport itself. I love watching it,
Yeah,
but doing it is like, it's not really worth getting injured.
very true. Are you originally from Arizona? Are you a native?
I am native born here. I grew up in Mesa.
I'm looking at your 2025 track. You got a 149 at the Brooks PR Invitational. You got a 150.3 at USA Track and Field Nationals under 20. You ran a 149 at Nike Outdoor Nationals. You ran a 149.87. And for high school at the state meet, you ran a 148.91. I was actually there to watch that feat when you walked away from everybody. And I just realized too, you run a 416 mile. How come you don't run the mile?
I did originally run the mile actually. I got injured during cross country, so I was out for a solid few months
Yeah.
and I wanted to get into track as soon as I can. So I was like, okay, the best thing I could do is just only do the shorter distances because the injury would give me issues if I ran longer distances. So I was like, okay, I'll stick to 400, 800. And that's all I did for pretty much most of high school. I did the 1600 meter here and there just to build my endurance and stamina throughout the season because I wanted to focus only on the 800. Some races were okay. Like it was just okay weather. Like it was pretty windy during a couple of them. And then there was another one that was like literally 2 days after the Arcadia invite. So I didn't get the best results. And I was like, I kind of just dropped it afterwards and only stayed focused on the 800 because I saw success in that.
So tell me about your experience at the Brooks invite.
The experience was great. There was a lot of like the top athletes from their specific events that were really good. Like Owen Powell was there, Cooper Luckenhouse was there. I still buddies. I'll text here and there from that meet, but it was definitely one of the fastest races in terms of like everybody on the roster, and also it wasn't just racing. There was like an extra thing on the site for the athletes, like an experience you could do like different activities in Seattle because the race itself was in Washington, not too far from like the main city.
So tell me about your state feat when you blew the doors off of everybody last year.
For that race, that was probably the best time I had to prep because I was always throwing myself into random little niche events. Like I did the 200 once during a meet just to see how I could do. to see how my speed was, and I was always getting thrown in the 4x4 because we actually did have a chance to qualify for that in, like, the divisional state championships, which we did. We made it to the finals. It was a good experience for to bring some other people into, like, that divisional championships, and
You actually ran a 49.4 April 30th of last year, which that's pretty good for an open floor. And
yeah.
no, never thought about dabbling in the 400.
I never really dabbled the 400 unless it was a relay because they would always throw me in the legs because they knew I would have the energy to do so, and I was probably one of the only guys to willingly do it after all my other events were done.
Uh,
So it's more of a thing.
Awesome. What do you prefer? Y- I know you don't dabble in cross country very much because of the longer miles. What's your plan for college? What are you going to run in college?
I currently plan to run the 800-mile, probably up to the 3K. I wouldn't
Awesome.
mind dabbling into like 5K because I know that's an option as well, but I'm definitely more of a middle distance-ish guy, even though I run all the way up to the 10K. Because even though I don't dabble in cross as much, I still perform really good at it.
So tell me about January 24th, last week, Dr. Martin Luther King Invitational. How was it going indoor for your first indoor meet?
It was very interesting. It was a different experience from like a regular track as I actually had to keep track of how much laps I was doing and like the turns were a bit different as it's like what's
Banked.
yeah, banked. Thank you. It's a different, like, type of running, like, for, like, the past few weeks before that, I was, like, going in, getting prepped, like, building up certain areas in my legs for that just to avoid injury and get used to that banked because we don't have it banked in Tucson quite yet, and that was all I could do in terms of getting prepped for that, so I honestly did whatever I could, and I think it really paid off.
Yeah, you got a 150.83, which is phenomenal for your first time indoor. Are you racing this weekend?
Yes, I am. I am leaving for Boston tomorrow to run the mile at the Terrier Invite.
It's gonna be cold. Obviously, the 800s, your favorite event.
Yeah, 100%.
How do you handle I mean, to run the times that you do, there's some serious suffering involved. How do you handle that? Where's your mindset at for that?
Just a lot of discipline. I know that they're stereotypically the hardest events and like most tiring, most stressful ones. I honestly think it's enjoyable to do what most people think is like the worst thing because it's like, okay, I get a little respect for doing it. Like I'm dedicated to it. But after doing it a number of times, kind of like you get used to it. You like settle in with it.
See, I try to tell the kids I coach the same thing. If you embrace the pain, you kind of know what to expect at what 600 feels like, the first lap feels like. So either way, but if you're not mentally checked in, that's I think the 800's the hardest race because it's basically a sprint. And we could probably go back and forth between that and the mile nowadays, but the 800 is my favorite event, to be honest.
Yeah, I would
Uh,
agree.
so, what's a typical day look like for you?
Typical day from a standpoint of just running on my own, there's like no sun practice. I run first thing in the morning. I stretch, do a short recovery session, go straight to breakfast and grab something like and get like an overall balanced breakfast in terms of fiber, carbs, glucose, and protein. And then I head to class for a few hours. I go and study somewhere, typically library, just because it's easier to work from there than home. And whatever I have remaining with my day, I'll either cook dinner or do more recovery.
What's typical mileage week for you in college now?
A typical mileage week for me now is probably 60 to 65 miles a week. At least it was during cross. It's a bit harder to tell with like races going on like almost every week.
Eh,
I would say I would say probably like 40, about 40 miles a week for race weekends.
So what were you doing in high school?
I was doing probably for cross 30 to 35, then 25 to 30 and during the track season. My coach had me at more conservative mileage.
What's the workout look like for you?
One of the main workouts we have are 800 repeats. This can range from like 8 to 12. We typically don't take like set rests. Like there's rests between each rep, but Not like we don't make sets out of it usually. I mean, well,
How much reps are
60 seconds usually in between each rep. This isn't just for that. It's typically in general for anything. We'll do 600, 400, 200 ladders sometimes. Those usually have like 60 seconds as well. Pretty much everything has 60 seconds unless it's like super long, like cross country stuff.
what's your favorite workout?
My favorite workout is definitely 800 repeats, like the speed that they give you and the amount of endurance it takes. It's a really good workout for not just the 800 alone, but it could be really good for the mile as well.
Awesome. What's the workout you just like the most?
Disliked workout, we had a 5 by 400. So it was 5 reps, 60 seconds in between. It was 5 sets of those with like 5 minutes in between each set. It wasn't that it was difficult. It just took forever. Like it's so much reps that it
Mm,
just feels like ages. Pretty sure it took me over an hour to complete.
wow, right on. But you finished it, so,
Did finish
uh,
it though.
what do you think about when you're racing? When you get to the line, you see all the competition, you're like, all the big dogs are here. What's going through your mind?
I just try to ignore most of the tension on the track. It's like typically I don't want to think about what people expect from me. I want to think about what do I think I could do, and it's there's a lot of faith going into it, and you also have to have like the tactical mindset of like just thinking about who is here and what they typically do for that kind of race and during the race, what do people look like? Do people look tired? What does their form look like? How are they running? Like, are they aggressive or are they just sitting? Like, there's little factors
Yeah.
that go into play. But most of the time, I just think about like picking off one guy to the next and just taking it one step at a time.
So what's the start like? Is it a lot of jostling? Is it different than high school? That first 100 trying to get to the break?
Uh, yeah, it's definitely more aggressive. I feel like take it out a little bit quicker than high school does, and it does make it a little more difficult to find a good spot in terms of positioning
Yeah.
because you just have 2 boxes, and I'm not sure how big those races can get, but I just gotta keep in mind, like, there's probably gonna be a lot of guys in these boxes in the future, and I gotta make sure that I try and find my spot.
So what are you going through that first 200 in?
I typically shoot for 26 for that, but if it's like a 27, it's okay. 28 is like, probably could have went a little faster.
Yeah. So how do you handle a bad race?
I just look at what can be fixed for next time, and I usually view it as like as mistakes during the race. Okay, this can be a one-time thing. I'll make sure to fix that next time, and at the same time, not overthink it the next time I do so.
Yeah, that's a great perspective because a lot of people dwell on it and they drag that bad race to the next one and the next one, and they just don't ever see improvement. So awesome. What's your best race memory?
Best race memory was probably Hoka Festival Miles 800. That was probably the most physical, like 800-meter race I've been in. And it was probably, well, this was also similar to Brooks, not as stacked as Brooks, but it was, there was mostly state championships from their home states. And that competition was really close in terms of times as well. And quite a bit of jostling. Probably it had the most jostling compared to every other 800 that I've had. And it was
Yeah.
also a very good environment from, like, the supporters in the bleachers and on the side. It was probably the best racing environment I've ever ran in.
Yeah, I saw it. It was awesome. So do you ever get worried about getting tripped up?
I've been tripped up a couple times. I'm not afraid to say it. Maybe a couple times by myself. Sometimes other people have tripped me up, but, I just get up and keep going. Once I get seriously injured, I'll stop, obviously, but I'll just keep going if I know I can and feel like I can.
So what's your worst race memory?
My worst race memory was probably a 4 by 4 that we had. I tripped on myself, and I was like 5 yards short of the finish line. I think I was 2nd, and, yeah, I dropped the baton, I got DQ'd. Everyone behind, like, hurdled over me, and I was trying to get treatment from somebody, but they sent all their trainers home that race, so
Yikes.
it sucked. I was hurting a bit.
That definitely qualifies for a worst race. Uh, are there any runners you look up to?
Uh, yeah, I would definitely say there's runners that I aspire to. Probably Craig Ingles is a good one. He every I've like talked to him before and I see him race. He every time he goes into these races, he just has like a good mindset about it. Like I've seen a couple instances where he's had an iffy race and it's like, oh no big deal next time kind of deal. And then he just makes it seem enjoyable from a pro aspect.
Do you have any aspirations to turn pro?
That is one of my main aspirations. I want to go pro for at least a little bit of time after college. I think there's a chance to do so,
I
but I dream, man. Like also US Olympic trials would be amazing too. If I could just make that, that would be amazing. That would be a good enough thing for me in
I have
running.
no doubt that you can get there. Seriously. Best advice from a coach.
Best advice from a coach, learning to be independent from an aspect of training yourself and not having to rely on somebody because there's a lot of discipline in that because I've had quite a bit of instances coach isn't here, but what am I going to do? I know what to do. Also it's important to not be independent to the point of like, oh, I'm going to feel like doing whatever I feel like doing. It's like you got to be coachable as well.
I think you should say that again as well. So
Yeah,
what's recovery look like for you?
recovery, lots of stretching, cooling down just because I don't want to have any tight muscles, hammies, calves, whatever. Foam rollers have been one of my main sources of recovery for years. I would also like to say that cold plunges are really good in terms of like just relaxing the muscles
Agreed.
and dry needling is really good. I like that. If you
Agreed.
can get that, you should do it. And Normatec boots would be pretty good. I know not everybody has them, but just like pressure for blood flow because it stops blood flow in areas. And then after pressure's released, it allows nutrients to flow again instead of just sitting dormant in your muscles. And it also boosts recovery because it moves the lactic acid.
I say it all the time, but most don't adhere to what you do. So good job on that as well. What do you think the most important aspect of running is?
The most important aspect of running is probably to realize that there's more to life than just running. Like, you don't want to make it your whole thing because I've seen a couple instances like the next day you could not be running, and it's like, what else do you have? And it's also very important to know that there's a small chance to like go the next extra step. Like for me, the next step after college running would be pro. I can't guarantee that. So it's important to find other things to do to give yourself the experience, which is why college is very important in terms of academics because it gets you set for a career if you are going to be doing stuff on the side. Because if something doesn't go your way, then you have other things to go to. Like you have like lifeboats pretty
Uh,
much in life.
good analogy. What's a typical day off look like for you? What do you do for fun?
Lots of sleep.
Wait, you
Just because
working out that you
really
do.
important for recovery. I don't know. uh, it does vary. I'm either grinding more schoolwork or I'm just reading or practicing guitar or playing video games or just
What
whatever I feel like doing that doesn't require so much physical activity since I do a
yeah.
lot of working out during the week.
Are you a Fortnite guy?
Oh, I grew out of that a few years ago. Occasionally, if somebody asks me to, I will get on that.
What are you playing?
Uh, I play a lot of racing games like Formula One, Forza, Need for Speed.
Okay. Okay.
Sometimes my dad does ask me to play Call of Duty. I'll play with him.
Awesome.
It's been a minute since I've asked him just because of my busy schedule, but hopefully I could play with him again soon.
Awesome. Where's your dad's back in Phoenix?
Yeah, the rest of my family is back in the Phoenix area.
And it's awesome that you get to drive back an hour and a half and boom, you're home again.
Yeah, that is one nice thing that I do like about here in U of A is like if I wanted to go home for the weekend, it's not gonna cost me anything really, but just gas money, and it doesn't take that long.
So how did the recruiting process go for you? How did you pick U of A?
I picked U of A because it was easily accessible for me geographically, and also I knew a fair amount of the guys on the team already. So it was a bit easier to click than most schools. Not saying that other schools had nice guys. I just knew these other guys, so it was better. And also the all year training as well, because it is Arizona. It doesn't ever really snow down here in the southern area of Arizona, unless you're in like Flagstaff or whatever, then it does snow.
No, that's too cold. Way too cold. What's a pre-race meal for you?
A pre-race meal, if it's breakfast, toast, peanut butter, honey, banana, yeah, just all that on one piece of toast or a
Yeah.
couple pieces of, cause just
What's
because it hits carbs, sugars, fiber, protein, and it's nothing super heavy as well for a race. From a
would you
lunch
do
aspect, probably a light sandwich, like a BLT.
would you do post-race?
Post race, I like to have a good amount of protein. Thinking about it, I probably didn't make the best decisions after a race. I know a fair amount of races In and Out has been a go to.
Hey, that's good stuff.
Listen, it's a really good. A lot of people actually go to In and Out the night after they're done racing at the state meet. Like so much people at In and Out. But just if I were gonna pick something that was ideal for me, probably chicken and rice would be the best option.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you get to the level you're at and a lot of other people, that that's like the go-to meal for you. So it's not like you really crave the in and out. So I understand that as well. So do you have any pre-race rituals? Do you listen to music?
I'll listen to music sometimes because my high school coach got after me for listening to he got after the whole team for listening to music. I'll listen to it occasionally. There's no specific artist that I listen to. It's just whatever I feel like. What's the mood of this race? What's the environment kind of deal?
What was the reason for not letting you listen to music?
Uh, he didn't want it to be like something you have to rely on like every time.
Like to get motivated?
Well, not necessarily, just not having to rely on it every time you run. And so I just kinda got used to, not running with music for some point. I was like, okay, I guess I'll listen to it here and there, like before a race, but not really during the regular practice days.
At what time you go to bed?
9:30 to 10 is what I shoot for
Uh,
if it's a regular day.
What time you getting up?
6:30 to 7:30.
So tell me what your biggest fear is.
Probably breaking a bone.
X. That would be bad.
It looks bad, dude. I've seen it before. It looks bad and it looks painful, and it would suck because it would take you out for a fair amount of time from your sport.
Exactly. What's your biggest accomplishment?
Biggest accomplishment, winning the Hoka Festival of Miles 800.
Agreed. That was phenomenal. So what are you going to study in college?
Right now, I'm, studying business management.
What do you want to do with that?
I wanna get into, like, the running community with some stuff that I was thinking of, like, possibly working at one of those bigger sports companies, like Nike, Adidas, Hoka, Regs.
I can see you doing that.
Uh, but to be fair, I could do media as well just because I did photography as, like, a job before I moved to Tucson. So I
Yeah.
have that experience under my belt, and I think that would also be an option for me if I were to have a
Okay.
job after college.
Well, I typically ask what your screen time looks like, but it sounds like you're so busy. I doubt it's very high.
The only reason it would be high is either I just leave it on accident
Yeah.
or I'm always using, like, maps to navigate, or if it's just, like, I don't have anything else to do while traveling on, like, a bus or a plane.
What's your wallpaper?
I said Tokyo Skytree. There's also a couple others because, I just had a bunch of pictures from when I went to Japan over July last year, and I just have it, like, where it, like, switches every hour, so it's, like, different photos that I thought looked nice for wallpapers.
How was that trip?
That trip was really fun. That was, like I think that was the first time I went overseas to, like, a different country,
Okay.
and it was a different culture. I really liked the culture there.
Is it Americanized or not really?
Not really. Culturally, they're It's way cleaner, way more, like, respectful, and it's much more quiet in terms of, like, politics, and it seems, like, more under control. There's the main issues were tourists themselves, and that was a very small issue. I did not have any other issues.
Awesome. Who's your number one supporter?
My parents are my number 1 supporter.
Nice.
Hopefully, their people's parents are their number 1 supporters as well.
Agreed. Well said. So, if you had to tell a freshman coming into track cross country, what advice would you give them?
I will say some points it will feel really tough. You'll feel burnout really easily starting this. Typically, that's just what everybody feels. Kind of ignore that. You'll get over it and you won't see results in like a week or two. It takes lots of work, lots of discipline, lots of effort to get to a certain level. And it takes a lot of faith in yourself and determination.
Perfectly worded. Hey, that's all I have. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on the show. I look forward to watching you race all season. And I mean, the sky's the limit for you. I mean, you've got the mindset, you've got the talent, and you've definitely in the right place to get it done. So, again, good luck to you for the season. And I'll be chatting to you soon.
And thank you so much for having me here on this podcast.
Awesome. See you later, man. Take it easy.
See